Welcome back for another video. We're going to dig into the best differentials on the game and react to some transfer news. Who are the hidden gems this season? We've all got lots of high-end players in our teams, the likes of Salah, Haaland, Palmer, Isak, Watkins, etc. So we're looking for low-end players that have got the highest rank upside. I like to have a few of these in my team every season. I've built them as an FPL team, but whatever you do not use this team for Game Week 1. This is just an easy way to view them all. So the first bit of transfer news is that Johnston's asked to leave Crystal Palace and they're ready to sanction a deal for him to leave. So evidently he was heading into the season as second choice keeper, or perhaps looking for a new challenge. Either way, this has put any worries concerning the Palace keepers to bed. Henderson's 4.5 mil and he's only 7.1% owned. In the scout members area, I went into the defence table and I filtered from Game Week 26 to Game Week 38, which was when Glasner took over, and they were the 4th best ranked team for defence, with 15.29 expected goals conceded. Use the link below to play with the members tools. Now obviously it's a small sample size and they did have some easy games, but they actually ranked 4th overall last season between Hodgson and Glasner. He's not just a differential, he's my favourite 4.5 mil keeper now. With that in mind, Munoz is the next pick. He's 5 mil and only 4.2% owned. Serious differential with massive upside. He got 4 assists after he was pushed to right wing back last season in 12 appearances there. A pretty good block of opening fixtures. They've got Brentford, West Ham, Chelsea and Leicester. I'd be comfortable starting him in all 4 of those games. The more possessions you don't have to worry about in your team, the better. It's one less area that you might need to make a transfer. Robinson next, who's in 5.9% of teams. Away at Man United in Game Week 1, so not the best fixture to start him, so I'd look for someone to play ahead of him in the first game week, and then he's got a run of Leicester, Ipswich and West Ham. If you want to identify the best players to rotate in defence, then on the scout ticker tool, filter on defence, then tap the team that you want to check, and then tap rotate. So we've got Everton and Newcastle and Villa right at the top here, which says to me, Kalenko, Hall and Konsa all rotate great with Robinson. If Trippier leaves Newcastle, then even better. From a selfish perspective, I'm hoping Trippier leaves before Game Week 1, because Livramento immediately becomes the best 4.5 mil defender in the game, if he's the first choice right back, and even then he's a differential. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Gabriel's basically a differential. He's just over 11% owned, and he's got Wolves home in Game Week 1, where Arsenal are top of the clean sheet odds. They've been given a 51.5% chance of a clean sheet. He's nailed for the start of the season. Calafiori's not played in pre-season yet, and even then I don't see Arteta shaking things up when it's working. I can see him persisting with the best centre-back pairing last season with Gabriel and Saliba, and Calafiori comes in at left-back if anything. That's the only reason I can assume he's way lower owned than Saliba, so I might have concerns he's not nailed. Saliba had 1 double-digit return last season, Gabriel had 3 with returns of 10, 17 and 12 points. Gabriel took 31 shots to Saliba's 10, 4.24 expected goals to Saliba's 1.6. The first midfielder is Bailey, 4.6% owned. I'll concede that he will come off early lots this season, which is a trend we've seen, but he's the type of player I can see capable of hauling in 75 minutes for example. He got 2 attacking returns in a single game 3 times last season, 10 goals, 11 assists in total. De Bruyne next. So Pep says Foden's not going to play in pre-season games, and assuming we don't see him off the bench against Man United in the Community Shield, De Bruyne could be the solution to no Haaland drafts for a slice of City's attack, or even if you're on a Haaland draft without Salah, he could be a second premium. 4 goals, 10 assists after his return from injury later last season. Huge upside pick. Ipswich home Game Week 2. Alvarez leaving City might help his expected minutes slightly as well. Another player that's surprisingly low owned is Son. Obviously if you define differentials 10% or less, then technically he doesn't qualify, but he's got to be mentioned at 11.5% ownership. 27 attacking returns in 34 starts last season for 213 points. He faces Leicester in Game Week 1, who are favourites to go down, though that is partly due to the possible points deduction. One approach I could see doing very well is to start with Son for the first 2 game weeks, and then pivot to a player like Foden, Saka or Palmer from Game Week 3, when Spurs have got Newcastle away and Arsenal home. He loves the North London derby though, so he could genuinely be the best premium to start with and keep hold of him. Fulham have completed their club record signing of Smith Rowe from Arsenal. Absolute quality player. I'm really hoping that he can stay injury free because he'll be an absolute gem for 5.5 mil. He scored off the bench on his debut in pre-season against Sevilla the other day. He's probably going to play through the middle, which reduces the appeal of Andreas for me. He might be moved to a deeper role in the team. He's in only 5.7% of teams. The other 6.5 mil midfielder I love is Johnson. He's in a shocking 1.7% of teams. I see him as their first choice right winger, and he managed 5 goals, 10 assists last season, and he's still an improving player. Amazed in opening 2 games, and he covers that 6.5 mil price point, but there is the flexibility to move to another one like Bailey and Kunku, or someone like Smith Rowe even for cheaper. 155 minutes per expected goal involvement last season, which puts him in some very respectable company. He's even with Bailey, and then slightly ahead of the likes of Foden, Odegaard and Gordon. Though naturally, most of those players did play far more minutes, which is a better data set, and doing it over longer periods is harder. A couple of forwards to finish on. Let's do Solanke first, who's in the thumbnail. This one's under the assumption of a move to Spurs. This morning it's been reported that Bournemouth have agreed to sell him for a club record fee to Spurs, and they're looking to finalise the transfer. He's reportedly desperate to make the switch to Spurs. Understandably so, it's an amazing step up for him, and I can see him as a perfect fit for Spurs as well. He's a big physical player, he offers much better hold-up play, and he likes to play with his back to goal. He's going to do the job better than Richarlison, and obviously Son when they played striker. He presses from the front as well, which was a trait of Iraola's football, and I think he'll fit Ange's system perfectly. If this deal's over the line fast, he could be an immense option for Game Week 1 for 7.5 mil. He managed 19 goals, 3 assists for Bournemouth last season. What will he do in an even better Spurs attack? He is one to monitor, because if it drags out, then I'd be a bit less confident of a Game Week 1 start, but there's every chance he comes straight into the starting 11, with Richarlison still sidelined with injury. Spurs have been using Kulusevski up top in pre-season. And lastly, Wood. If you've got a 6 mil forward, let us know in the comments whether you've got Wood or Muniz, or perhaps you've gone rogue with someone like Calvert-Lewin. I'm really struggling to separate Wood and Muniz. Forest have just beaten Olympiacos 4-3 in pre-season, and Wood came off in the 72nd minute having started again, and he got a goal and 2 assists that game. That puts him on 3 goals, 2 assists in pre-season. Really solid opening fixtures for Forest, though the underlying risk is that one, he will share minutes with him, whether that's off the bench or an eventual start. He seems secure for the start of the season anyway. A few players I had on my list that weren't in the team. There's Pope for 5 mil, who could honestly be the best 5 mil keeper, only 5.8% owned. Though if Guehi joins Newcastle or Trippier leaves, then there's a 0.5 mil saving to be had. Hall's got a very good chance of being first choice left back this season as well for 4.5 mil. There's Dunk, who's also 4.5 mil. He's somewhat overlooked because a lot of people have picked up Barco. I do like the Barco pick, he's just not a very long term pick potentially. We might see a Stupinian back in the team when he returns from injury around Game Week 5, which when Brighton have got some juicy fixtures. I'm expecting a much better Brighton team defensively this season. In fact, on the subject of Brighton, Minte's looked class in their pre-season games, with 2 goals 1 assist, only 5.5 mil and 0.9% owned. He's got electric pace, he's good with his feet and he's got an eye for goal. I mentioned Muniz earlier, who's 7.8% owned and he's a differential as well, and I'm almost certainly going to have either him or Wood in my Game Week 1 team. My worry of João Pedro, who is a bit cheaper, as he's not played in pre-season at time of recording, though he could be fine to have his bench depth and then slide him into your team Game Week 4 and 5. At the moment, Armstrong's my preferred 5.5 mil forward, who's fully fit and on pens as well. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else I've missed. Kwanzaa's an interesting one. I'd say he suits Slot's system more. He's more of a press-proven player than Konate. He's better with his feet. Van Dijk's not played in pre-season yet because of the Euros. However, we have seen Slot use Konate in left centre-back, which is Van Dijk's position, and Kwanzaa in right centre-back. So could that be a hint of a 4.5 mil Liverpool defender in their starting 11 with those opening fixtures? I'm not confident he's totally nailed right now, but Liverpool's final pre-season friendly should give us lots of clues, with the likes of Trent, Van Dijk, Darwin and others back in training. The final pre-season update video will come next, so make sure you subscribe for that. Thanks very much for watching, see you soon for the next one.